Hey, I'm Melanie Johnson along with my co-host Jen Foster. We are both 13-time best-selling authors. We've published over 2,500 books and made all of our authors #1 bestsellers. We own Elite Online Publishing. If you want to become a best-selling author, look us up at eliteonlinepublishing.com. Now, welcome to the podcast that shares secrets from top industry experts that show you how to get lasting success and results. This is the Elite Expert Insider Podcast. Hi, this is Melanie Johnson along with Jen Foster. Hey, Jen.
Hey, everyone.
We have another super podcast for you today. All right, have you ever thought about how to get your company to make $10 million in revenue? I know we have. So we have someone who has the secret sauce on how to do that. Not just knows how to do it, has done it for other people, for a business, for Infusionsoft that he worked with. Matter of fact, he took them to $100 million. So I am so excited to have Brett Gilliland here today. He is going to tell us his secrets of how to grow your business to a $10 million in revenue business. Brett, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be part of your show today, and look forward to our visit.
Great. Well, Brett, tell us a little bit how you got started into this and how you've helped Infusionsoft get to this level.
Sure. So my background is in organizational development. That doesn't mean anything really to small business owners, and that's fine. But what would matter to business owners is that we study what it takes to create an effective organization that gets the kind of performance that you want. And I ran into a guy one time named Clayton Mask, who is the CEO for many years at Infusionsoft, and then they rebranded. Now they're called Keep. Anyway, I worked with Clayton as a consultant for several months and helped them build the internal people, processes, and systems to be able to scale, as you already mentioned, from 7 figures to 10 to 30 to 100 million. And then we started to teach other business owners how to do that themselves. So it happened just sort of by coincidence, I guess, or by luck, that we had customers saying, hey, teach us how you're doing this. You have a great company. You've got a great culture. We want to learn that stuff. And so we did. One time we taught it and it was well received, and then we just kept teaching it and we built a little business around it. So a couple years back, we decided to not have that be part of Infusionsoft anymore, and I bought it, we spun it out, and now I spend all my time helping business owners learn how to scale their 7-figure business.
Awesome.
And you know, small businesses are very tricky, especially when you're getting started, and you mentioned systems. So what are the stages? Walk us through the stages for small business growth.
Yeah, I really appreciate you asking that. So the stages have to do with some work that I actually have to give props one more time to Clayton. He did some original research. This is the kind of guy he is. He studied the U.S. Census Bureau data, right? Boring stuff for hours and hours and hours, like dozens of hours, and pulled out some trends there. And then we matched it up with what was our experience with serving small businesses. And there are some clear patterns. So lots of companies out there say, oh, we serve small business, but small business is so broad, right? If you go to some definitions, it's like 0 to 500 employees is small business. Well, any of us who have an actual business that's, 10 or 12 people or 5 people, that's a real small business, right? That's true small business. And that's the kind of business we were serving at Infusionsoft. Most of our customers had fewer than 10 employees, and they weren't being spoken to by all of these providers out there that said, we serve small business. They were serving larger small businesses. And so we wanted to distinguish the different stages of business, and the patterns that evolved or not evolved, the patterns that became clear to us were on the 1s and 3s of revenue. So for example, the first stage, the startup stage or solopreneur stage, is from 0 to 100,000 in revenue, right? You're working to get that first 100,000 where you can replace the day job and go into business on your own. After that, it's from 100 to 300,000 is the next stage. And you're learning how to get enough leads to fuel this business, right? And you're learning how to sell. And then from 300,000 to a million is the steady operation business, where now I've got to figure out consistent lead generation. How is my marketing system going to create customers every month? And how is my fulfillment system going to deliver on those customers? So at each stage along the way, there are new things that have to be learned. And what we found, and where we specialize in helping businesses, is most businesses get stuck somewhere between that 1 and 3 million in revenue, if they ever make it to a million, right? Which is why we call them elite entrepreneurs, because only 3 to 5% of all businesses that ever start get to a million in revenue. They just pause to consider that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're elite, and now they're experiencing new challenges between 1 and 3 million, and then 3 to 10, and so on. So there are these stages of business. Roughly every time a business triples in size in revenue, then they have some new things that they have to figure out to enable the next leg of their journey.
Right. So what are some of those common occurrences when you hit that 1 to 3 million? What happens in small business? What are those common occurrences that happen?
So as you guys have experienced probably for yourselves, and as you've worked with other business owners, what happens is they get to that million, and they have maybe, sometimes they have 6 or 8 employees, sometimes they have 10 or 12, but really that entrepreneur still has willed this thing to happen, right? They've kind of thrown it on their back. They've hustled. They've been grinding it out, right? They've done all this work to get it to that point. And then they look around, and here's what they experience. I've never been here before, right? I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but everybody expects me to know. I'm the leader. And I think if I just pour more time and energy in sales and marketing, this is just going to keep growing. But in reality, they start to experience new challenges around people. Like, I can't get the right, I can't hire the right people, or the ones that I have don't seem to care as much as I do as the leader. I got to tell them how to do it right, or they're not going to do it right. You just feel more weight on your shoulders as the business owner at that point, and you start to wonder, is it worth it? Several people start to go, well, maybe I'll just settle back to where I was actually making more money with fewer headaches. And then they settle back into maybe 500,000 in revenue, where they personally were taking more home, and there were less people involved, less headaches around that. So they just don't know how to do the company building things and the people related things that have to happen when you start to hit that level.
Well, wait a minute, you just said something. You're like, I'm going to scale back so I can take more revenue home myself and have less headache. I mean, isn't that kind of the idea? I mean, if someone said, listen, you can grow, you're going to have more headache and make less money, does that sound appealing? I'd be going, heck no.
No, it doesn't sound appealing, but that's the occurrence for them. They feel like, I grew and I'm making less, and it's more frustrating. Why would I do this? And so then they go back. But that doesn't have to be that way, right? There are ways to both grow and reduce the chaos that enable the ones who figure it out to go beyond 3 million, right? So that is the trick, though, is to get out of that thinking of, it's not just thinking, but get out of that situation where they're feeling like, this is heavier, harder, and I'm making less somehow. This is not right. Like, get me out of this.
So what are those strategies to grow and reduce the chaos and make more money, take more money home, not less?
Yeah. So if you'll humor me for a second, I love to tell a story that I use to illustrate this point. So we have several children. I have boys mostly. We have 2 girls and we have 6 boys. Okay. So we have this big family.
8 children, by the way, just saying, this man has 8 children. Congratulations.
Well, that's like awesome. A small business, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we love to get outdoors. You can imagine how crazy it is indoors if we're all together. So let's get out and do things, right? So we go fishing sometimes as a family. Well, on one occasion, we were fishing, and we had 5 poles going at one time, and I'm going around helping everybody fish. And we love to fish, and we know how to fish. We know how to catch fish. Well, one day we spent 2 hours with 5 poles and no results. As you might imagine, my kids were kind of, they're frustrated. The energy around it was going down. This was not a fun fishing trip. Well, we're sitting there frustrated, and we see on the other side of the lake this big bird. It's called an osprey. The osprey circles the lake maybe 90 seconds, a minute to a minute and a half, dives, pulls out this prized rainbow trout that we had been chasing for 10 fishing hours, right? 5 poles, 2 hours. In less than 2 minutes, that bird had the prize. When we'd spent 10 fishing hours and got nothing. So I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? What I have since analogized, or that's not even a word, analogized back to this question of yours is how do we as businesses get more targeted and take more coordinated action to achieve results more efficiently? And that's the trick. That's the trick. You have to put a system in place, or I should say systems in place that enable you to take targeted, coordinated action as a team to achieve higher levels of performance with less pain.
Yeah. That's awesome. So that's what the osprey did, right?
That's
She already
right.
had her
That
system,
bird.
or he
Yeah,
already
so
had a system in place.
he had the perfect system, the wings, the eyesight, the talons, the beak, all of it was perfectly organized to be able to enable that result. Well, what I'm telling you is that businesses who figure out how to take their group of people, their business, their processes, and turn it into that osprey, they see 10x results, because they can go from 1 to 10 million when they operate like that osprey instead of thrashing on the side of the lake with all their might, like my boys and I were doing.
Yeah, it's the same amount of work, really. Actually, the bird had less energy than you guys did. Less time put in, less energy put in, and got a better result. So, would you say the systems that you do, and I kind of know the answer to this, but like, it's like if you teach a business what to do, even though they're different businesses and they may have different things, if you follow a certain formula, does it always work for your business, or does the formula have to be adjusted for certain businesses and personalities?
Yeah, great question, Melanie. And because we've been doing this for 8 years now and helped hundreds of businesses, what we've seen is it doesn't matter if it's a product-based business or a service-based business. If they do most of their selling online, or if they speak to get their sales, it doesn't matter what kind of business. If they grow large enough as a company, right? If they start to have 8, 10 people and they want to keep growing, they have to learn how to provide the focus for that team and alignment. Everybody needs clarity and alignment in order to act like that osprey and take targeted, coordinated action, right? So the systems, and I don't mind sharing the few principles that we can in the time that we have. The systems apply to any type of business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So share the systems. Give us a couple systems.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll name the 3 kind of foundational ones that anybody listening can go do to really get additional results. So the first one is to set the vision, and this isn't some big vague vision statement that nobody ever looks at again. It's really to get clear on their purpose, their values, and their mission. Okay. And I'm not the first to talk about those types of things. But what we do is help business owners get really clear on those foundational elements of their company. Once they're clear on that, now they've got a foundation they can build on. So purpose, values, mission goes right into, now what's our strategy to achieve that mission, and so on. So getting clear first through set the vision is the first system that a business owner has to put in place in order to get that next level of growth. The second one is to build the team. And this is very, logical follows, but we've got to build the team to go make that vision reality. And around that, I like to use the term hire, lead, and fire to the vision. Once you have that foundation in place, everything we do around people is going to reinforce that vision. So we're going to surround ourselves with the right talent for sure, but it's not just can they do the job, it's also, do they fit with us? Are they excited about the same purpose that we have here? Do they live the values? Do they embrace our way of being in the values? And do they have the skill set, and are they motivated to go and help us achieve the mission that we're up to right now? So hiring the team to go deliver that vision is the second one. And then the third one is what I call a building a meeting rhythm, or a planning and execution cadence that allows us to take that vision and make it real. So those all sound like, high level concepts. When you do the work, when you actually dig in and put those systems in place, you have an osprey.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I would say is a short answer to that.
Awesome. Well, if you didn't take notes, rewind and take notes. And that last step, I think, is the key, the action, right? You got to take the action. You got to put that plan into place.
Yeah, and it's less about action because we know, again, my boys and I, we were actioning to death on
That's
the
true.
side of the lake, right? We were throwing bobbers and spinners and worms and power bait. Like we tried everything, and we tried it more of it, and that doesn't always work. Doesn't always yield the result. So what I'm talking about with the meeting rhythm is you have to build into your company ways to reorient to true north, right? To set the vision. We got to keep everybody aligned to that and make sure we have clear next steps for how we're going to move together. That coordinated action is super important. So we get clear on being strategic. So we got to have strategic progress, and we got to have operational excellence in how we're executing every day. So the meeting rhythm enables us to keep our eye on both of those sides of business performance.
Love it.
Well, and it makes sense. So, and it really, there's an order to it. It's like you don't want to start with the planning and then do vision afterwards. You really have to follow the order, because if you don't have the vision, then you can't really plan, or you can't really build the team that has the same values and mission as you. So you have to really be clear on that. And, I'm going to dive, let's pick that one because it really is the first one, just to go a little bit deeper in that. So sometimes you see companies' mission statements and their value statements, and they are very broad. So how do you hone that mission statement into, because you really said the mission has to become coming up with the strategies to achieve the mission. So is the mission, I remember seeing about Amazon, was to, sell X amount of products. And now Amazon's mission is to dominate all retail worldwide, is their true mission statement, is become the dominant retail force. So is your mission statement more ethereal, or is it more, based on goals of what you want to achieve?
So our approach to it is it's very concrete. It's very destination oriented. And I'll keep saying that probably. The destination oriented is super important because unless you have a specific destination, you can't come up with good strategy. If you think about that for a second, some of these broad mission statements are a little more ethereal. They're more like a statement of work. Here's who we are. Here's who we claim to be, versus over the next 3 years, we're going to go do that, right? We're going to go achieve this specific outcome. And when we get there, we'll throw our flag in the ground. We'll congratulate ourselves and celebrate that win. And then we'll go to the next mission. And so, for example, our mission at Elite Entrepreneurs is to help 1,000 elite entrepreneurs grow meaningful businesses by the end of 2021. That's our marker, right? That's our line in the sand. We're like, we are all fixated together as a team to go make that happen. And with that destination, now we can explore all the possible ways we could get there. And that's where strategy comes in, right? So if that's the destination, we could choose to take many paths or many tools or many strategies, but these are the ones we're choosing to help us win to get that mission.
So it may not be like yours was a definite number of how many people you're going to help versus we're going to make X amount of dollars in revenue. Would you say don't pick a revenue goal? It should be a different, more specific.
Yes. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up, Melanie. One of the number one challenges we find as we're helping people with that work is the business owners kind of programmed to hit that next revenue mark, right? Well, our mission is to get to 5 million, or we're going to get to 10 million, or whatever that revenue number they have in their head is. And there's nothing wrong with that as the business owner, but there is something wrong with that as the driving force for the business that is a separate, unique entity than the business owner. And we have to separate those two and say, what is the identity of this business? Why does it deserve to have life? What's the impact on the planet it's going to have? So that's, and I don't mean impact like, are we getting into sustainable conversation? I mean, why does it matter that this business exists? So that's the purpose piece. Then we get clear on mission, and the mission should be around impact if at all possible. I'll give you another example that wasn't us. I was talking to a business owner the other day. His mission is to help 100 seven-figure businesses achieve $10 million in recurring revenue. they serve software businesses. So he did some math with his team and said, if we help 100 businesses get to 10 million in recurring revenue, that's a that's a $1 billion impact we're going to have over this next few years, right? And so they got to dollars, but it was around impact in a larger sense, and it wasn't about their revenue. It was about how they were going to help others.
I love that. I think that
Me too.
for me, that gave me a lot of clarity. I don't know about you, Jen, but
Yeah.
I've always had it where it's been more this ethereal thing, but it's almost, and I hate to equate it to a war, but when you're a military, you have an exact mission and your outcome of what it is you're supposed to do, and it's very specific of what you're looking to do and then how to do it. So that clarified a lot for me. I hope that clarified a lot for other people too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, a lot of people get the mission piece wrong. They know, they've heard it enough. I need to get clear on our mission, but they start to say, we want to be, we want to provide great quality and awesome customer success. And they just start to be these flowery statements of ideally we want this, but it's not what we're up to right now. It doesn't provide any clarity to team members making decisions every day about whether or not they should do something.
Right.
One more, sorry, Jen, I'm jumping in here.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
So I'm just going to move just a little bit into the strategy thing, and then I know we have to wrap it up. So how do you decide what are the most important strategies to do first for your mission?
So we love to use a strengths-based approach on strategy, right? The business got to $1 million based on what they already had as strengths. So why not look there first? And so the question becomes, what strengths do we have today that we should continue to leverage in order to achieve that mission? And we want to narrow this, right? So strategy is not an exercise in saying yes to everything. It's an exercise in narrowing down and saying, of everything we could possibly invest in, where could we get the most return for our very valuable investment?
Right.
So we want to start with strengths to leverage to achieve the mission. Then we want to look at that mission from the other side and say, what new strengths might we need to develop in order to achieve that mission? And that's a fairly quick and easy way to look at strategy that can be a really complex and hairy topic for people, confusing, right? Strategy this, strategy that. Instead, we're just getting clear about what gives us the best chance of winning. And that means achieve our mission in the time frame that we set in a competitive environment. What gives us the best chance of winning? And if I can leverage a strength that got me here and develop a strength I know I must develop in order to go to that new place, that's a nice way to frame it when I'm trying to figure out what my strategies are.
I like that.
And if I could say one more thing, I would limit those to like no more than 5 tops, because over the next 3 years of this mission, I can't invest sufficiently in more than a few critical things. And so you have to be very choiceful. It's hard. A lot of times business owners say, well, I've developed all these strengths to get where I am now. And now you're telling me to like get rid of those strengths to go to the next place. And no, I'm not telling them to get rid of them. I'm telling them if they can only provide life-giving blood, life-giving resources to the most important things, which ones would they choose to take on the journey, the next leg of the journey? So that's the way that we like to think about the strategy work. And it only works, again, if you have a clear destination for your mission. Otherwise, you're creating strategy that ties to ether, like you talked about, Melanie.
Right.
It's really ethereal.
Yeah.
Right. So much great information. This is awesome.
Good. And I'm sorry, I get a little passionate about it and I just start going, but
yeah, it's all
great
good.
questions.
Well,
Thank you.
Tell us where people can go to find you and where they can go get more information.
Absolutely. And thank you for the opportunity. So our website is growwithelite.com. Our business is called Elite Entrepreneurs, but we knew better than to put entrepreneurs in our URL. So Grow with Elite, all spelled out. Or people can even reach out to me via LinkedIn. Brett Gilliland is spelled Gilliland. Facebook,
Awesome.
Twitter, wherever people can be found. But look for us, growwithelite.com.
Great. We'll put that link up at the bottom and people can see that on YouTube, or those who our listing, growwithelite.com.
Perfect. Thanks for coming today. We really appreciate it, Brett. So as of always, remember to subscribe to our podcast. And if you're looking to do a book, Elite Online Publishing is the place to go. And if you have any comments or questions that you want to leave, please do that. We love to see comments and questions and what you think about the podcast and if this applies to you and any of it helped you. So, and what else you would like to see or interviews you'd like to see us do would be awesome. So have a great day and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.